9, 8.
You're watching the Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
I may or may not. I may have been working on a project and not necessarily paying attention.
Uh-oh.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, crap, we've started.
It's comics time. We like some good comics this week. It's kind of interesting because I actually saw some folks saying, oh, there's not a bunch of stuff releasing this week for Free Comic Book Day. We're kind of disappointed. I was like, well, y'all looked at a different pile of comic books than I looked at. There's some huge releases this week.
Well, I think the problem is my understanding is that some publishers chose to count it as a fifth week, not as a first week. Because Wednesday being the first, like if you look at your month-end budget, you either ended last week or you end on the third. So it's a fifth week. I don't know. I never understood how those people made up those decisions. So, you know. And we don't have a ton like between you and I because I didn't get some of my books this week.
I read my normal gigantic amount.
Well, right, but I mean it's like it's a lower week than normal because like Jay's not here. It's just me. You know, and again, I didn't get Image, I didn't get Mad Cave, I didn't get a few. So
exactly, Preston. The first people get paid.
Right, but again, like when you look at these guys trying to plan, you know, print schedules and whatnot, I think on some level they decided that this is a fifth week, not a first week, which, you know, all of our wallets think it's a first week. So, except for mine.
At least we can pick up extra stuff this week.
Mm-hmm. Including the project I'm working on.
Oh, is it top secret?
Till I announce it tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, let's get to the book so I can stop focusing on this.
Oh, baby. All right, so...
real quick, Jay. From now on, use the red band covers for the Blood Hunt stuff. More teasy. More teasy, though.
More teasy. Okay. Tease. All right, everyone, we've been talking about Blood Hunt for a little while. I'm telling you guys, make sure you've added to your local comic shop's polls because we had a gut feeling that it was going to be a maze. So it's, yes, I actually pulled a copy and told my staff everyone must read it because it's got huge twisty ending. I guess you guys could probably tell from the title that it is vampire driven, and that is not a secret. But the how is incredible. So what I can tell you is that there's a big event that happens that everyone that uses dark magic gets turned into a portal, which is a lot. And it blocks out all of the sun, which is bad. Especially since, you know, dark things can move around as much as they like with impunity because there's no sun to damage them. It is awesome. So the thing you do need to know about Blood Hunt that we've said all along is that there is a red band version of this, which is polybagged. And those versions of those books are not going to be reprinted in trade paperback form. And the red band version, the only way you can get them is go to LCSs. They're not, you can't get them digitally. There's no other way. So this is your perfect opportunity to go and support your LCS and pick up other stuff while you're there. And I can remember last week, so this is a week out from release, I started hearing messages about, are they going to second print? So that let me know that the first print was all sold out. So you're going to have to run and just enjoy the heck out of it. The art is just over the top, really good art. And yeah, it's going to get dark, y'all.
Is catchphrase one word or two?
Catchphrase? It depends upon who's saying it. Is it Ryan Reynolds, evil twin on
Deadpool?
Free City?
No.
He says catchphrase.
Okay. This is not mine.
Hyphenated. I don't know.
This is yours.
Oh, that's mine too. Okay. So I will tell you that I could not read all 8 sensational stories of this book, but that the first lead out story is Harley Quinn breaking out King Shark from Arkham and them going on an adventure. So they're all kind of like, they take in and around things you might do on spring break. There's cool DC adventures. It's a huge, thick book. It's worth the time for reading. I think there are 6 stories, a ton of material, and it is a prestige format book. So tons of fun. This is like DC did have a terribly small release week. One is amazingly big, awesome for a book. And then this one is just good fun.
Preston, I would, but unfortunately, Jay and I have to read via PDF, and DC is not one of the companies that sends us PDFs.
Yeah, Marvel and DC will always have to be me because I get the physical copies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Barbaric Born in Blood #1. So I don't know if Vault publishes other comics anymore or if it's all Barbaric.
He's kidding.
No, I honestly can't remember a non-Barbaric book that I've read from Vault.
Okay.
Like in a long time. And it may just be that that's just the release schedule, or it may be that Jay claims all the good Vault books. I don't know. Just saying. If you don't remember what Barbaric is it's a sword that talks and has thoughts that are similar to that of Deadpool. It's an axe that just talks and wants to feed on blood. And he starts off very drunk. He's hysterical. At one point, he screamed, the axe screams "hair of the dog" before going into battle. And I just heard that song in my head for like an hour. This goes back to a little bit around what our main character, whose name I can't remember right now.
Owen?
Huh?
I think it's Owen.
Owen, yes, Owen. Owen's birth and like raised to be a barbarian. Like kind of the rules and like how barbarianism means something to him that it doesn't necessarily mean to everybody else these days. And you see a lot more magic than I remember there being, which is super cool, even though they have a witch on their team. More magic. And I hate the vampire guy. That's all I'm going to say. When you read the book, decide if you hate the vampire or not. But this was super fun, super gory. It has a lot of that kind of sort of twisted Norse mythology style storytelling. It's not Norse, but it feels like it's got some definite roots in that. So it was a super fun book, and this is a good place if you've not read Barbaric, the Talking Axe books. This is a good place to jump in because it gives you enough of a backstory that you can jump in and understand it. But you're sort of in the middle of an adventure, so it's you don't have to wait very long for action. So.
Yeah, Jay did get his first copy during walk around show. That's so funny. Triple B had a question. No, that is not Midnight Suns Blood Hunt. That does not come out for another couple of weeks, I believe. I think we just did FOC on that book. The book that you see coming out today is the main series Blood Hunt. There are no red band versions of anything other than main series Blood Hunt. I checked and asked them about 20 times. Are you sure? Okay. Okay, Toxic Summer. I may have talked to you guys about a couple of times. I read this and they sent me a PDF of it way before FOC, so that, and you might see a pull quote from me on this book somewhere. I didn't look to see if they used it or not. But this one is super cute. If you are watching Dead Boy Detectives, you might love this book, because it is about this, like, the cool friendship between these two guys. And there is a little bit maybe of, eyeballing each other, maybe. So it's really sweet. It's real sweet, innocent fun. But so they go to the beach to get a job, and they want to be lifeguards, but they don't get the job that they want. They get forced to clean up the beach, which has a bunch of toxic ooze on it, which is changing people into weird things. It is such a delight. I really didn't. For me, I started reading the book and thinking this is probably not going to be a for me book, but it's just so lovely. I cannot wait for the second issue. It's been longer for me to wait, right? Because I read this like a month ago. So I highly recommend, if you just want to have something that has a little spook to it. It's got all of this is the style art through the whole thing. It has a little spook, leaves you on a cliffhanger. And yeah, for fans of like Lock and Key and those kinds of movies, or if you like Dead Boy Detectives, just the right amount of spook. Oh man. Okay. So it's been a long time since we've had what's called Max Comics, which is Marvel's very graphic adult line. Usually not sexual, it's usually violence, right? And that's true here. And you knew you were getting into that because it's Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis has a true love of war. So if you've only ever read Garth Ennis's things like The Boys or Preacher, you're missing out on all of his other really good stuff out there, like String Beggars, or I'm trying to think. He's got like a million things from Avatar Press, and there's really great wartime stuff that he's really gotten down deep into. The Lion and the Eagle is another really great series that's from Aftershock. This story is setting up a tale that happens, I believe, during Vietnam, which both of these characters, Sergeant Fury and Punisher, might have actually ended up in the universe together. It seems very possible. And let's see, Nick Fury gets captured. And because of what he knows, and they're afraid he is going to tell, they don't know him very well, I guess. They have to send somebody after him. The idea is to just snipe him, not to try to go rescue, but to just snipe him so he cannot tell the things that he knows. So there's a bunch of awesome telling of the tale that's around that, including the other soldiers that he gets kidnapped with, and what happens to them, all in very, very extremely gruesome detail. So, trigger warning, if you do not like wartime violence, this is chock full of it.
This also an ASM 129 homage cover.
Oh, that's right. That's gorgeous. Didn't even notice. Hey, Sean.
Boo, Sean being late. Okay, I don't know why Jay would presume to put an Eric Powell book in the middle of the show and not end with the Eric Powell book. I will never know. Lester of the Lesser Gods. You may remember Lester of the Lesser Gods from when we read the one-shot a while back. Lester is a not all that impressive son of Odin, the All-Father, father of Norse mythology, Thor and Loki's stepdad and that kind of stuff. But also he's Lester's dad because one night in a roadhouse somewhere in America, Odin had needs, and so did Lester's mom. Eric describes this in gruesome detail. It's the only reason I even bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
I love Eric Powell, but bro, I did not need to know. In this book, Lester is kind of on his quest as a noble sort of hero. The problem is that he's wearing all he's wearing basically is a set of leather underwear. So I had to scrape my corneas out after reading the book. But you find he meets his sidekick, the person who's going to be his sidekick for a while, and they start off on a quest. While essentially they meet. Did anybody watch Chuck?
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
Do you remember Jeff from Chuck?
Yes, part of the epic rock group. Forgot the name.
Yeah, but he was a Nerd Herd member, Nerd
Yes.
Herder. If that guy became like the big bad guy
Oh.
after the apocalypse, it's Jeff versus Lester and this other person, and Jeff is like sinister. It's pretty great. So it just turns into it's kind of the setup of Lester and his companion kind of finding their big baddie and setting off on their quest. But this book is hysterical and raunchy and hysterical and bloody and hysterical, and there's way too many man thongs and hysterical and just hysterical. Like I can't even describe it. It's true, Lester was his buddy on Chuck. I didn't think about that. Ooh. Okay. There
Lots
might
of
be
points
something
if you
here.
come up
I'm
with
going
a
to
band.
email Eric Powell. So, needless to say, this is a very funny book from Albatross Funny Books and Dark Horse Comics. Eric Powell. Think of the goon humor set in sort of like a post-apocalyptic Rome. Like it's the Roman Empire, but like in the post-apocalypse because like dude has a Vespa. So instead of a horse, he has a trusty steed. It's a Vespa. Like I said, this book is just hysterical. I can't do it justice. Just if your name is John or Eddie or Triple B, just go grab this one. This is all yes. They come from the mart of K over the mountains of Dew. It's true.
The name of the band is Jeffster. I had
Yes.
to think about it. It's their names smashed together.
So, like I said, check this one out. It's super fun. If you've never read an Albatross funny book, they're funny. That's why they're called that. Check it out. Hysterical.
Robo Force. Okay. This is part of a new cool group of books out of Oni Press. They had the beginning of the Nacellverse a month ago, I think, where they had little short stories and kind of introducing each of the books that they were going to come out with. This is Robo Force, based on, I believe, beloved action figures from your childhood. I will say you probably don't need to know anything about Robo Force to jump in here, because they do a good job in this book of kind of introducing all of the different forms of robots. So they introduced them by way of saying that they were created in the hopes of them being something more than they ended up being. So they got created and then technology passed them by somehow. And so they're kind of obsolete. So this is kind of them trying to figure out their way in the world. And it still has, what's that green character? Garbo?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it's Garbo. He's still in the story. So I think
Orbo?
he's huh?
I'm trying to remember. Go
I
ahead.
know. But he's the character that holds the universe together as the glue. The great. Yeah, that's so bad. It's not Gonzo, I know that. Anyway, if you want to have some like cool nostalgia for, I think all of this comes out of the 80s, all the different things. We've got Biker Mice from Mars coming, and I forget all the other titles out of here. It's cool because they're all written down on the side of the main book that came out. So if you want to have some nostalgia, this is also, by my reckoning, safe for probably any age you wanted to read it with. So if you wanted to sit side by side with your kiddos and enjoy it, or hand it off to a teenager, I think anyone would enjoy it. So it is dope. Okay.
This is one I'm looking forward to, and I don't normally get up for these kind of books.
Yeah, I heard crazy rumor that the movie that's about to come out might be part of what it's about. I'm not 100% certain if that's true. That might be just like internet nonsense, but it's heck, why not read it? Because who knows? Okay, how to explain all this stuff. Deadpool and Wolverine don't get along. No surprise. And both of them are semi invulnerable to anything. I don't think any of them has successfully been permanently killed. Wolverine once but that didn't last. And Deadpool just becomes little parts of himself, which is kind of fun. So there is some kind of being that is, for lack of a better word, throwing purple lightning around that affects other beings and turns them into things that are annoying for these two characters. So when they're not fighting each other, they're trying to fight this stuff. The thing is that the purple lightning, if it hits them, does something on the molecular level, which actually does hurt them quite a lot. So this book is kind of like the beginning of that story about where that character has come from, and is it actually really dangerous to them? Are they going to be able to work together? I don't know. It's always hit or miss for them. Maybe they'll work together for a little bit, but it's never going to be permanent. But it's great, gory, fun. I'm interested to see where it's going. Go Purple Lightning.
Okay.
Oh, you read some free comic book day books. This is
Just the one. And the reason I read it is because who is the Night Watcher? And the reason, part of that has to do with wanting to make sure I understood what was happening coming out of TMNT 150 and going into TMNT Alpha and some of this other stuff that's coming out. This character existed in the very early 2000s for about a minute and then disappeared.
if you learn.
And then after the mutant bomb thing happened, it came back. Now, I don't know if this Night Watcher is the same one that lasted for just a second, or if it's a full new iteration, right? And that's what I was trying to figure out. And this book doesn't tell you. But it is a very fun kind of look back at where the Turtles have been since the mutant bomb and where they're headed through issue 150, all with the guise of this legally different from Marvel's The Prowler character. The first story, which is the Night Watcher story, feels very much like it's Last Ronin adjacent, even though I know it's not because none of the characters are right for that. But it's got that same sort of tone. Then there's a backup story that reminds me of the old Nickelodeon Archie TMNT stuff, like the Mutanimals kind of era, which was super fun. But this was right. It was in the animated TMNT movie, and it did exist in the book again way back in the early 2000s for just a second, and then more recently it's come back again. So, pretty sure it's a turtle. Don't know which turtle. They don't tell you.
I want to say hi to Comics with Bueller. If you guys didn't watch his Travels 2 and at C2E2, you should go check it out. It's always cool to see what he's up to. Looks like he did a lot of fun stuff afterwards too, which is the fun of being able to be the ruler of your own destiny. Get to travel where you want. Okay. I will tell you there's 2 books that are in my reading list that are both related to the White Trees. So I don't know if they're back to back or not here. But I think I should have read this one first. It is definitely what I call high fantasy, where you have characters that are creatures doing people things, I guess is the way you talk about it. So there's like a lion man there who's, one of the King's Guard, or at least that's what I think I'm reading. It's very interesting, this universe. So from what I can tell, characters are neither all entirely male or female, and are often both. And there are like some power struggles with the king, and I think it needs, so they've taken this book right here, they've thrown together all of the different parts of White Trees. I don't know where it was originally published because I don't remember it being as individual comic books. So maybe this was like a backup story to something awesome. Wherever it was gorgeous art and I love it. But I will totally tell you guys, there is a whole bunch of like, you're reading along and you're like, oh, conspiracy. Who's after the king? Is the king making wrong choices? Who's related to who? This is way cool. And then you turn the page and there's a full animal orgy happening. And you're like, what just happened? What is going on right now? So it seems like it's pretty totally normal in this universe for people to be like, hey, let's get together as a giant group. Okay. So anyway, just so you don't like leave it around for your kids. It's a lots of people parts and people parts on creatures. So anyway, it's cool, but I will tell you, for me, high fantasy has never been my thing. Maybe if you really like, and I do like this book, if you like Saga, it's probably the closest thing I can think of that's like it. And it's Chip Zdarsky, so you gotta, he's a great writer, so you should try it out. The art is really pretty. Like the whole art is just like the cover. There's not a cheat on the inside to being something else. But yes, in both of the issues that I read, there was a hard right to Ooh La La Bill. Yes. Okay. Freaking myself out a lot that I get excited about DC projects because it's never been my life. So here I am, loving DC again. So there are 2 parts that are already out for the House of Brainiac story. It started in Superman 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And then there was an Action Comics issue. This is kind of a short excursus from either one of those, although it says Superman, House of Brainiac. This is the House of Brainiac special. And anyway, so all you need to know of what has happened so far is that Brainiac has shown up, challenged the superheroes. has abducted all the superheroes, to skedaddled them all, and now there is the Earth is now saying, "Oh, we don't want non-humans here. All the aliens should go." And there is a like a political thing where Perry White is running for mayoral office. He's ill-equipped for such a thing because he's not really a politician, and he's running against another guy who is basically his entire platform is of we distrust the aliens. They should all leave. And it makes for a very heated and uncomfortable and charged, world to live in, especially for, a great many aliens are on the Earth, and many of them are just peaceful. I just go to work and I do my job and I'm part of society, whatever. So this also discusses a different part of their history in which you have Lobo, and talks very much a lot about, where his origin planet is and what those people are about. And they, I guess, have as part of their makeup a group of them that are entirely immortal also. So there are some cool parts in here that involve a big twist with Brainiac, Amanda Waller, and just for the first time ever, I've seen Amanda be surprised about anything at all. Maybe she's not. Maybe we're going to see in like 3 issues from now, I knew all this, and this is all me doing my Amanda Waller thing. So it's great. There's so much good stuff in this series. You're only 2 issues behind, and grab this one. It's going to be a really, I like the storyline a lot.
Okay. So Ohana means family.
Ohana.
That is the entire plot to issue 3. I've given you every detail.
I like that they've got a little sweet looking tarantula.
In issue 2, Stitch is in New York and gets kidnapped, or is trying to get kidnapped by these robot guys and escapes to someplace safe. That someplace happens to be Australia. And this is Stitch existing in Australia. And it's Ohana means family. That's kind of it. This has been fun if you're a Lilo and Stitch fan. But I would say this to Dynamite and to whoever's writing it. Maybe invest in a plot. You can't just rehash Stitch has learned Polynesian words and make that the plot of every book, because so far that's been it. Granted, he's in other exotic locations, which is fun and what makes it interesting, but I could read this book without any text. You're really not telling me anything. So, again, if you're a Lilo and Stitch fan and you like kind of the Disney adventure stuff that Lilo and Stitch represents, this is great. But it's not nearly, I think, as good as I had hoped it would be. And compared to some of the other Disney licenses Dynamite is working with now, it's coming in pretty low on the totem pole. They're doing so good with Darkwing Duck and Negaduck and Hercules and Hades and some of these other ones that for this one to just kind of have the one note, even though it's a location changer, just falls flat. Maybe if they weren't doing so good with other things, this would stand up a little higher. But, it's like this is the one that maybe got thought about less. So, needless to say, Ohana means family. Stitch knows that word. He also knows some other words, and he says those in this book too.
Now, from another point of view, we have a big kids section in our store. Right. And we cannot keep them in stock.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're a Lilo and Stitch fan, it's great because, I'm a Lilo and Stitch fan. I thoroughly am enjoying it. But I don't need to be able to read the book to enjoy it. Right? That's exactly who this is for kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that's fine. But, again, Hercules last week 2 weeks ago had a great story. You know, some of these other ones have had fantastic stories, and this one just kind of meh. So maybe what we need is a way to differentiate whether or not these are Disney licenses for grown-ups or Disney licenses for children's. You know, like, I don't know how, but, you know, Dynamite Kids.
I guess my guess is that the word Disney on it kind of clarifies that right away.
But it's on Hercules and all these other things that are written with more of grown-up storylines.
True.
I'm just saying.
And here's the follow-up to the...
I wanted to read this real bad.
What?
I wanted to read this real bad.
Oh, man.
But Image, man. Well, there's another Image book I wanted to read real bad, but Image, man, didn't send me anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you got to enjoy it.
Yeah. I'll just follow it up. I'll say the exact same thing I said about the other book. This is a follow-up to the other one. I don't think you need to know anything about the other one, but they're both out this week, so you can get both of them and not worry about, like, oh, man, I don't have the source material. It is a lot of just regular swords and superheroes action, but also lots of naked people parts. Do you need any more reason? I mean, you're gonna like the book or you're not. If that's the pitch, you're like you're
right. It's Chip Zdarsky. If there aren't a lot of naked people parts, is Chip even writing it?
That's true, right? Get this and then pick up a copy of Sex Criminals. There you go. Oh, I'm waiting. Excited.
Okay.
Yes.
I hate to be this guy, but this was not for me.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Okay.
It was very, very good. But I like Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh.
Like, I expected this to be a little closer to the Tick sort of superheroism, which is kind of the Space Ghost I grew up with. Kind of the Hanna-Barbera, you know, Space Ghost Coast to Coast kind of thing. You know, a little bit more comedy in with your hero. This was straight. This was very much a legally not Superman. Legally not Batman. In space. And to me, Space Ghost doesn't play well as a serious, straight-ahead hero book, right? It needs some little quips and dad jokes and bad humor to go with the incredibly powerful and potent fighting that Space Ghost does. Like, don't get me wrong, this book is great action and it looks incredible, but I was expecting something other than what I got. And so I was a little bit disappointed in that. That said, if you have no weird childhood connections to Space Ghost Coast to Coast or the early Cartoon Network slate of programming, this book is phenomenal. It's so good. Yeah, this Space Ghost basically is Iron Fist. In space. Super fun though. If you don't, but again, like I saw Brack and went, okay, when is he going to make a joke? And then he never does. And I saw Space Ghost, and it was played straight. And again, I don't need a lot of humor. I just need something, right? Just a little. You punch somebody in the face and you say, hurts, donut. You know what I mean? Like, do you want a donut? And then you punch him and go, here's a hurts donut. Something terrible. Something that would make you groan but would recognize as comedy. Would have just elevated this a whole nother level, and it would have been maybe the best book out this week. It was very good, but I want the comedy, and So without that, I'm gonna walk on this one.
So it's probably my jam then.
This is another one I wanted to read, but stupid Distillery didn't email me back.
Man, this book hits hard. Holy cow. Brian Azzarello is not pulling any punches. So killer, beautiful, amazing. Every page looks kind of like painted. It's a straight up Western. You really believe that the book you're reading is about the character you meet first. But it is a total lie. All you have to do is read the cover to figure out what you're getting into. But it starts out about a man who is in prison and he's being let go. It's his last day and they're walking him out. And meeting him on the outside of the bars is his old crew, who basically says, what took you so long? Why haven't you come to get me sooner? And they're like, oh, well, we had to do our own stint because we ourselves robbed a bank to try to get the money to pay the Mexican cartel or Mexican prison people to get you out. So that's the setup for the story. So you already know that he and the friends are probably not 100% awesome hero characters. And it just gets more and more like real guttural, like, if Tarantino wrote this book, you would not be surprised, right? It's just a ton of like really good, I don't know, like feels like it could live in the world of Desperado, like if Rodriguez wrote it. It's really good. It's a great, again, Distillery's been putting out really great books. If you're not buying them because of the size of them, just suck it up, Buttercup, and get yourself a magazine size box because you have a ton of them that you'll need anyway for your other size books of the same thing. This format is here to stay. Other companies are eyeballing this format because it makes it different, and plus it means they can make really big art. And this is exactly what it's for. This kind of beauty is this is awesome. I have been looking forward to this just like Kyle. I'm sorry that Kyle did not get to read it for review, but I'm certain that Kyle has a copy of his LCS, don't you?
No.
Oh no.
Because you're my LCS on the Distillery stuff, and I forgot to ask you to add one.
That's right. Well, just ask
we'll work her out. No, my LCS is currently not carrying Distillery books. Yeah, it's a point of contention.
Just hold their
hand.
It'll be okay. Just hold their hands and say, suck it up, Buttercup. From me.
Well, we're going to work it out. It's one of those things that I'm going to offer them the same thing on Distillery that I offered them on Fair Square and Mad Cave. But I've not been in a financial position to do that. So
yeah.
Soon.
Don't get too crazy.
Is that it?
How in the world?
I felt like I read another book, Jay. Hold on, let me look at my list. Tuesday shows. Barbaric, Lester. Oh, no, I didn't get to read it because I didn't get the PDF of it. Saturday is Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
At your finer comic book shops in and around the world. And there are some great Free Comic Book Day books for you to check out. Miss Jen, there was another Image book that did you get a chance to look at? Bear Pirate Viking Queen?
No.
Okay. Everyone, go buy Bear Pirate Viking Queen just based on the name.
Yes.
And then don't spoil it for me because that's when I do have it in my LCS and I'll be picking up.
Just a heads up. I know that these are kids' books, but Art Baltazar worked on this, and we love Art Baltazar a lot. This is a Dr. Seuss book, which we've not had before. It's meant for the kiddos, right? So this one is really cool that's out this week. And then if you haven't started partaking of the Bluey, Here's an activity book in swim school that comes out this week. Bluey is wonderful, even for adults. Go watch it. It'll change your life.
Yep. So free comic book day wise, from DC you have Absolute Power Special Edition #1. From Archie you get the Archie Horror Presents the Cursed Library. Asterisk Olympics from Paper Cuts. Also from DC, Barda Special Edition, which is a very interesting one, as well as Barkham Asylum.
And I do apologize. I really meant to read this, and somehow I missed it in my pull. I love Mezzo and the Mezzo universe. It is 100% gorgeous. It's like space Mesoamericans, and it's just killer. The whole universe. You should pick up some graphic novels and then pick that up this week.
Absolutely. You also get Blood Hunt X-Men #1 free comic book day from Marvel Boom Studios Boombox 10th Anniversary Extravaganza. There's one that I'm not going to say because Miss Jen will yell at me, because even though it's not spelled that way, it comes out sounding like a swear word. Conan the Battle of the Black Stone from Titan Books. Crusade Verse #1 from American Mythology. Also from Paper Cuts, Disney's Encanto and Turning Red, The New Adventures. From Titan Books, The Doctor Who free comic book day. Vault Comics has Dying Inside #1. The Energon Universe 2024 special from Image Comics. I Lie Popeye #1, which... Guys, there's a book coming out called I Lie Popeye #1 where Popeye looks yoked. Like he's been on the steroids, not just the spinach, okay? Dude's got veins coming out of everywhere like he's a wrestler in the 90s. Far Cry, Call the Herd #1 from Tokyo Pop. Mad Cave has Flash, Gordon, and Gotcha Man #0. I was very excited. I wanted to read Flash Gordon, but we didn't get a PDF of it. Hellboy Stranger Things #1 from Dark Horse. For your old school anime and manga fans, okay? This is a particularly old school one, like from when I was young. Initial D from Kodansha Comics. Investigators Class Action Sneak Peek #1. Investigators. Gators.
Love that series.
Yeah, from for second, Dynamite has a Johnny Quest #1, which I'm very excited for. Dynamite Johnny Quest. I hope it's as good as it could be and not super serious. Okay? Johnny Quest was never super serious. It was always a little racist. Katie Cat Sitter and Max Meow mashup from Random House. DC is doing a Mad Magazine. Dynamite also has a Maleficent coming out. Fantagraphics has Marvel and Fantagraphics present the Atlas Comics Library. If you don't remember Atlas Comics, this is a good way to get into that because, bro, you're missing out. Marvel Voices #1. Monster High is coming out from IDW. There's a One Piece Aces story, Status Royale #1 from Viz. Also, Pokemon Adventures Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, plus Splatoon 3 coming out from Viz. Gemstone has Romeo versus Juliet, a Kill Shakespeare adventure. I'm shocked they're still making that. That's super fun. Snoopy Beagle Scouts Adventures #1. Spidey and His Amazing Friends #1. Young Jedi Adventures #1. Oh, plus Plants vs. Zombies. Star Wars Darth Vader #1. Street Fighter versus Final Fight #1. The TMNT book I talked about. Loud House #1. The Night Librarian from Penguin Random House. Your yearly Overstreets updates. Valiance. The Valiance #1. Free comic book day book. The Worlds of James Tiny Onion IV, or Tinian, depending on how you feel. From Boom Studios. The Worlds of James Tinian IV. From 10 Ton Press, Tons of Strange #1. I'm almost done reading these, I promise, guys. Ultimate Universe, Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Ultra Duck #1 from Arcana. From Graphics, Unico Awakening, which is a unicorn book. Also from Andrews McNeil, another unicorn. 2 unicorns on Free Comic Book Day. Unicorn Crush #1. That's a book about Tina Belcher, I think. Whispers from the Voyage #1. The Witches of Brooklyn #1. And that is it for the list that I have.
There's a surprise one you might find at your LCS. Our friends at BattleQuest got real smart this year. And so you guys might not know this, but not every company's books that wants to be part of Free Comic Book Day are okayed for Free Comic Book Day. Whether there's a price point issue or whether they just feel like there's enough from those size companies, or I don't even really know how the decision is made. They want to try to make a good balance. They want to have enough kids books and enough everything else. So sometimes companies that want to have their stuff in are not okay. They aren't made part of the group. So BattleQuest was super smart this year. I don't know whether their stuff was in the pile for things that would be considered for Free Comic Book Day, or if they just decided to do it this way from the get-go. But they sent them directly to LCSs, as long as the LCS told them that they wanted to have Free Comic Book Day books from them. So there is a full issue book that's going to be available at those LCSs of a cool BattleQuest book. I think it's maybe the Titan issue, but good stuff.
And just to respond to Preston real quick, I mean pre-code Atlas. 50s, 60s Atlas. So if you guys don't know where to go for Free Comic Book Day, head over to freecomicbookday.com for all your finer comic book day stores will be listed there. But there are people participating in Free Comic Book Day that aren't there. There are certain hoops you got to jump through to get listed on that website that some people don't find.
I'm not listed.
Right. Miss Jen's not listed. I was never on there for my store because it wasn't worth the effort. However, to find out where Free Comic Book Day is, go to comicshoplocator.com, find comic shops nearby to you, and they usually have a little icon that says Free Comic Book Day. But give them a call and say, hello, are you having Free Comic Book Day? Can I come and spend money? And then go spend money.
Ooh.
I am going, we kind of outlined this on my show last night. I'm going to Green Brain Comics in Dearborn, Michigan.
Nice.
And then I'm going to cut across, maybe to go to State of Comics to meet up with K-Pop Junkie. Some of you know her from our Monday night Devil's Advocate show. But she is a nerd from nearby to me. She's going to be at State of Comics with a bunch of people. And then I'm going to head down to Big Ben's Comics Oasis in Allen Park, Michigan. And those are going to be my Free Comic Book Day stops this year. So, comicshoplocator.com will tell you where all those places are. So, for Jay, who is backstage and still read everything but didn't come on and talk about it this week.
Sorry, Jay.
Thanks for letting me do it this week, Jay. You do the next time. And for Miss Jen, I have been Kyle. This has been Minute to Skim It.